Akshar Purushottam Maharajani Jai, Gunatitanand Swami Maharajani Jai, Bhagatji Maharajani Jai, Shriji Maharajani Jai, Yogiji Maharajani Jai, Pramukh Swami Maharajani Jai, Mahant Swami Maharajani Jai. Last week, you guys heard about the importance and the greatness of the Vachnamrit. I think it was Bahushrut Swami. And today we're talking about the Swamini Vato. Now, in our Sampradaya, and especially in BAPS, the Vachnamrit, Swamini Vato, and Shiksha Padli. And today, the Satsang Diksha. These 3-4 scriptures, granths, are very important. We hold them very important in our day-to-day lives. Even in Sarangpur, we had a Sadguru Sant by the name of Sant Swami. He would say that doing Samagam of Shriji Maharaj, so having the association of Maharaj, Bhagwan Swaminarayan, is reading the Vachnamrit. Then doing the Samagam, the association of Gunatitanand Swami, Akshar Brahm, is reading the Swamini Vato. And doing association of Nishkuranand Swami is by reading or singing the Bhakta Chintamani. So like this, even today, whenever we read or listen to or hear about such scriptures, we should always have this firm faith that we are directly associating with Maharaj, Gunatitanand Swami, these Paramahansas and the Satpurush. Even reading Jivan Charitras, right? Pramukh Swami Maharaj's Jivan Charitra, the new part comes out every 1.5-2 years. And we might not know how to read Gujarati, but even listening to a few prasangs or watching those short clips on YouTube from the Jivan Charitra, that's indirectly associating ourselves with Pramukh Swami Maharaj and reading about Mahant Swami Maharaj too. So satsang reading, in short, it's very important because it literally time travels. It takes you all the way to Maharaj's time. It takes you all the way to Gunatitanand Swami's time. Now, talking about the Swamini Vato, why are they so important? We know these prasangs about Maharaj saying the Mahima of Gunatitanand Swami. Even when Gunatitanand Swami was small in Bhadra, he would say that, Mom, make Shiro, make this because Nilkantvarni is traveling, or Bhagwan Swaminarayan has his Janoi today. So that connection was always established from a very young age. Even during the Daban Yagna, Maharaj gave Gunatitanand Swami Diksha. Even during Fuldol in Sarangpur, Maharaj, announced by putting the chadi to Gunatitanand Swami's chest that this is Akshar. Right? Even the Tilak Chanlo Prasang in Panchara, right? That Maharaj said, this is my Tilak. So, if we had to read the Swamini Vato with this understanding, that what's been the connection between Maharaj and Swami? We say Maharaj, Swami. We say it when we're in pain and we want relief and things. But there's a deeper connection to just saying it, right? It's a Nadi, Jod. When Mahant Swami Maharaj introduced us to the small murti of Gunatitanand Swami, or Akshar and Purushottam, Mahant Swami Maharaj said, ke ghana varshothi Maharaj ekla hata. And a Jod joiti thi. And have Jod avi gai. So what did Mahant Swami Maharaj say? That for many years Maharaj was alone in Hari Krishna Maharaj. And now he wanted a Jod. He wanted someone with him. And that's why we've brought Gunatitanand Swami. So that's how important Gunatitanand Swami is for us. That they are together for eternity, since eternity. And that's why when we read about the Swamini Vato, when we understand the Swamini Vato and try to imbibe them in our lives, is as good as Gunatitanand Swami telling or talking to us himself. Right? And there's a person behind how the Swamini Vato even originated. Once Gunatitanand Swami was having a casual dialogue with Maharaj. And from the Vaishnavamrita, we know that the Paramahansas had this really nice rapport with Maharaj. They had an open access to him, even if it was early in the morning at 6 a.m., or even if it was late at night, even if Maharaj woke them up at night to talk to them. The Paramahansas had this really close rapport with Maharaj. They could ask him any questions. Questions on behalf of Hari Bhaktas, questions on behalf of other Santos, or even questions they had deep inside them. Such an example is Gunatitanand Swami. Once he asked Maharaj, that Maharaj, if I want to serve you the best, if I want to really make you happy, Raji, then what should I do? You know, we, whenever Santos come to our homes for Padramni, you know, when we have that small, intimate moment with the Sant, and we say, Swami, Raji Rejo, right? So Gunatitanand Swami must have had that moment with Maharaj. And he must have just asked, how do I keep you Raji? You know, how can I please you? How can I make you happy? What should I do? So Gunatitanand Swami gave Maharaj some options. So one option was to do meditation, dhyan. The other option was to think of oneself to be Atma. The third was to do Mandani Seva, to serve the ill. And the fourth one was to talk about Bhagwan's greatness, which I'm sure Gunatitanand Swami did all four. Right? He probably did dhyan. Right? He probably regularly did Atma Vichar. He probably did Seva of ailing Santos. We know those prasings too, where Gunatitanand Swami stayed back. He didn't go to a utsav to just serve Santos. Right? He would carry their wet quilts, heavy quilts on his shoulders and bring them back to the ailing Santos. So he's done that too. So number 3. And Vato, Bhagwan's greatness. He gave all 4 options to Maharaj. And Maharaj said, Vato. And it's said that since then, Gunatitanand Swami, staying in Junagadh for 40 years, he just did Vato. If he wasn't doing Vato, he made others do Vato. So when we were Baraks and Kishores, I still remember Atmaswarup Swami giving us the example of Puranis. Okay, Gunatitanand Swami in Junagadh, he kept 4 Puranis who spoke for 8 hours, non-stop. In 2017, Mahant Swami Maharaj, he gave Agna in London to do a Chavni. Chavni means non-stop Katha. It depends on your patience. Right? The person on stage is going to speak. He's just going to keep reading and talking. It's up to the audience to sit or not. And in Junagadh, it was the same thing but different word, Akhado. Akhado means the person sitting is not going to budge. The person speaking, he's not going to budge. But it's up to the Shraddha, the patience, the spiritual patience of the audience. So in Junagadh, you could go anytime and there'll be Katha Varta. There'll be Vato, speech, or spiritual recitation going on. And so many big Hari Bhaktas were encouraged to go and listen. Right? Even Raghuvirji Maharaj, he was having some trouble in his life, in his spiritual endeavors. And he was encouraged that you're going to have to go to Junagadh for this solution. So Raghuvirji Maharaj, he thought, he'll go with all his luxury. He'll go with his servants and everyone. And he's like, the Santos in Varta said, nope. If you want to go, go as a Tyagi. Quit everything and go to Junagadh. Then only will you be able to listen in peace. Even Gopalanand Swami, he told a very big Hari Bhakta by the name of Shivlal Sheth, you go to Junagadh and do Samagam of Gunatitanand Swami. Right? And that's why there's a nice saying in our Sampradaya, ke Varsho Varas. I'll say in English after, because it's an English sabha. But there's a saying in our satsang, ke Varsho Varas ek masare, karo a mandir ma nivasare. It was a saying for Junagadh Mandir, that for all Hari Bhaktas in Gujarat, so in the Vartal sect or in the Ahmedabad sect, anyone, you must go to Junagadh at least 1 month a year and stay there and do Samagam. listen to the Vato of Gunatitanand Swami. And in fact, a lot of Paramahansos gave that validation, gave that accreditation of Gunatitanand Swami's Vato. Even today, if you go to Vartal Mandir, or if you go to Ahmedabad Mandir, Bhuj Mandir, if you go to these really old Swaminarayan Mandirs, you go to their bookshops, you won't just find Gunatitanand Swamini Vato. You will find at least a good 15, 20 Paramahansis Vato. Because everyone was saying the name of Maharaj. Right? Everyone was speaking about Maharaj's charitra, his actions, his divine actions. Right? I'm sure like most of the Paramahansos had Vato. Akhandanand Swami's Vato, Bhumanand Swamini Vato, right? Everyone had Vatos because they traveled in groups, right? The Santos traveled in groups of 60. And then there will be Hari Bhaktas with them. So if the main sant of that group, if it's Bhumanand Swami or whoever it was, they speak, right? They'll do Goshti, they'll do Katha in the morning. So those Vatos would be noted. And that's how you would have Bhumanand Swamini Vato. That's how you would have Akhandanand Swami's Vato. That's how you would have Gopalan Swamini Vato. Because they would travel and they would sit and speak to their santos, fellow santos. In the same way, Gunatitanand Swami, whenever he spoke, his Hari Bhaktas traveling with him or staying in Junagadh with him would write notes, right? Like Jaga Bhakta, right? Pachi Balmukund Swami. Like that, around 8 to 9 Hari Bhaktas closest to Gunatitanand Swami would always take notes. And then obviously, once Gunatitanand Swami would retire to sleep, they would get together and then, compare their notes to make a final copy. And then Gunatitanand Swami gave the seva to Achintyanand Swami, that you put everything together and you make a compilation. So this is how we got the Swamini Vato. Just through Gunatitanand Swami speaking, Swamini Vato. Now it's quite unique because there's 7 chapters in this Swamini Vato. 7 chapters. They haven't been given names like Vachanamrut, Gadra, Pratham, whatever, but they're just being given Prakaran 1 to 7. But there are some notes in these Swamini Vatos which tell us that Gunatitanand Swami was walking and talking. Rastani Vato. Open is written that Gunatitanand Swami would walk and talk and people would write it down. Right? But how would they write it down? Because they've got that mema. Okay, these words are like nectar. These words are like amrut. We can't let them drop on the floor. We need to hold them tight. And that's how we got these Vato. There's a total of around 1400 to 1500 Vato of Gunatitanand Swami spread across 7 chapters. And today we're going to look at how unique these Vato are. Once a sant in Gunatitanand Swami's mandal, he asked Gunatitanand Swami, that Swami, when do you prepare for these talks? Because I've prepared for my talk today, right, to be honest. But this sant in Gunatitanand Swami's time, he asked Gunatitanand Swami, that Swami, when do you prepare for this? Gunatitanand Swami said, I don't. It comes out naturally. Why do we know this? Is because there's another separate note in the Chosatpadi. A few months back in this English Sabha, we went through the entire Chosatpadi. And in that Chosatpadi, there's a line that says, Varna vichare pan vatore, ave ena antarathi. What does that mean? That the talk that the Satpurush or the Guru gives, it comes out naturally. It's God-gifted. It's God-sent. It's God's words. And that's why when we compare all these prasangs together, that Maharaj and Gunatitanand Swami are one, Maharaj and Gunatitanand Swami are Akshar and Purushottam, Gunatitanand Swami is Akshar Brahm. When we compare these prasangs, and then we put the Swamini Vato together, you understand its mema even more. That how did these Vats emerge? How did these talks emerge? It's Maharaj is speaking to us. And that's why even Mahant Swami Maharaj once said that the Swamini Vato is the bhashya of the Vachanamrut. What does bhashya mean? The commentary. That if someone feels that the Vachanamrut is too philosophical, then keep the Swamini Vato next to it. And you'll find the meanings simpler. you'll find the philosophical discussions even more simple and practical. And we'll see this further on. So let's look at a few examples on how Gunatitanand Swami made the Swamini Vato so simple. And we can just visualize why. Because it's Junagadh, right? There were Hari Bhaktas who were, managing and running their fields, right? They were not merchants and wealthy people. So Gunatitanand Swami had to naturally tone down the language. He had to give them examples which they would understand, right? In fact, I was just going through the Swamini Vato app, which I do suggest everyone downloads and uses. The BAPS they've published a study app of the Swamini Vato, just like we have for the Vaishnava. And in that Swamini Vato app, if you go to the info tab, it has a section on scriptural references. And when you click on that tab, there's around 11 different scriptures that Gunatitanand Swami he mentions in his Swamini Vato. Some are from the Quran, some are from the Gita, some of them are from the Ved, some of them are from many other Purans. So how well versed was Gunatitanand Swami to cater? Why the Quran? Because he was in a Nawab-run city. It's Junagadh. There was a Nawab. Right? We all know that prasang where the Nawab allowed the construction of Junagadh Mandir. And then the Nawab was adamant that Maharaj should stay here. Right? And then Maharaj said, no, I can't stay. I'm traveling. Right? There's other mandirs being built. There's other Paramahansas to, attend to, other festivals to go to. But I will keep someone just like me in Junagadh. Right? And Gunatitanand Swami was the best candidate. And that's why you can just, tally that. Why would he give Quran citations? Because of the region he was in. So the Swamini Vato are really unique. If we look at some examples of the Swamini Vato, there's one Swamini Vato in chapter 1, number 5. And in that, Gunatitanand Swami says, right, that how much spiritual endeavors does the jiv have to do? Simple question, right? That how much spiritual endeavors does the jiv have to do? So Gunatitanand Swami, he gives an example of a field, a farm, a ketar. He says that if the farmer gets the water from the well every day, and then he, puts the water in the field, then only some birds and some cattle can take use of it, right? The crops will only grow to a certain amount, which he can partake in, and the birds and cattle of his field. But if it rains, it's lush green. The entire field is lush. Many cattle, many birds can take benefit of it. Even the nearby wells and rivers and streams will be full. And the farmer himself, he'll be good for a year. In the same way, this is still Gunatitanand Swami's Vato. In the same way, moksha is as rare as rain. But when it does come, everyone benefits from it. So in what the questions we feel that are difficult to answer spiritually, Gunatitanand Swami was answering them with so much practical knowledge that farmers and Hari Bhaktas could relate to. Another vat that we have, where Gunatitanand Swami says that what are worldly affairs like? So Gunatitanand Swami gives an example of laddu. Because, in Maharaj's time, Maharaj used to serve ladwas. There's kirtans on this. That Maharaj would give 3-4 ladwas to Paramahansas. Right? Maharaj would even speak out loud, lo laddu, right? So there's presence of Maharaj feeding Paramahansas ladwas. So it was a common delicacy of Maharaj and Gunatitanand Swami and senior Paramahansas to feed their fellow santos and Hari Bhaktas. So there must have been a festival nearby, and Gunatitanand Swami picked up on the example of a laddu. And Gunatitanand Swami says that when you see a dish of ladwas, not anymore, probably maybe there's a dish full of Ferrero Rocher or something, right? But at that time, maybe a dish of ladwas, right? And it must be enticing because the ghee and the khaskhas on it and whatever it is, right? And Gunatitanand Swami says, from far away you see a dish of ladwas. And naturally you walk towards it. And you think, oh, ladwa, I haven't had any for such a long time. Let me eat it. But then someone says, jerna ladwa. That there's poison in this ladwa. From externally, the ladwa looks the same. There's probably a few drops of poison inside it. So Gunatitanand Swami said that worldly affairs are like this. From far away, a Tesla looks like a Tesla. From far away, an iPhone 17 Pro Max looks like an iPhone 17 Pro Max. Right? Or a cruise holiday looks like a cruise holiday. But when you indulge in it, Pachi Gunatitanand Swami says, Garu Jale. Just like poison chokes you. In the same way, worldly affairs choke you. So simple. Another example that Gunatitanand Swami says, which we hear Balmandar say in all their mukbats. Garma revo. Okay, so this isn't an English sabha. Okay. I'll just quote you guys. Anyways, so the Balmandar says, ke Garma revo te meman ni pete revo. In English, okay, that means that you should live in your home as a guest. Why would he say this? There's no context of spirituality in this, is there? Is there? But he must be saying it in a sabha, must be saying it under the roof of a mandir. What does that mean to us? That we are a body, and inside us there's an Atma. Our true form is the Atma, right? So Gunatitanand Swami is saying that this body is a house, and the Jeev, the Atma, is the tenant. So you should always live in your body like a guest. You're here today, maybe not tomorrow. So there's another example that Gunatitanand Swami says that, what's the similarity between a rope in a well and our association with the Satpurush? So Gunatitanand Swami says that, when you're in a village and those days, the ladies, early in the morning, they walk miles to the well to fetch water. And, they would have to draw the bucket with their hands and the rope. And the well would be so deep that when they draw the bucket and it's heavy, they'll get blisters. Because it's kathino rope, right? It's a very rough rope. So their hands become red and they get blisters. So Gunatitanand Swami says that when you draw water from a well with a rope, your hand changes color. So from constant repetitive samagam of the Satpurush, your Jeev changes color. It becomes spiritual. So these are very simple analogies that Gunatitanand Swami used to give. Another example that Gunatitanand Swami gave was of a mirror. Right? For us, a mirror is a mirror. But Gunatitanand Swami goes one step ahead. That a clean mirror is what you want. That the cleaner the mirror, the better the reflection. Right? We all clean our mirrors in the bathroom maybe, once every 10, 15 days, once a month, maybe. Right? So we experience that if the mirror's clean, you see yourself better. So Gunatitanand Swami says that just how we prefer a clean mirror to see a decent reflection, right? Our mind should be clean for us to enjoy satsang. So these are the examples that Gunatitanand Swami gave. Another example Gunatitanand Swami gave was of medicine. That if we take medicine according to what the doctor has prescribed regularly, right, then that's only when you benefit, right? That's only when you recover in a timely manner. Gunatitanand Swami says that if we do the same with Sant Samagam, don't just keep it to once a month or once every festival, right? If we keep regular Sant Samagam, just like we do regular Samagam of a small pill, and we recover from our illnesses, we're in the biggest illness of Janma and Maran. Right? We're in the biggest illness of birth and death. So to come out of that illness, we need regular dosage of Sant Samagam. Another example, we see the last example, Gunatitanand Swami talks about a lamp and a wick. But in those days, the wick would have to be straight. Right, so they have these small fixtures inside the furnace, right? The lantern. And the wick has to be straight. If it starts going diagonal, or if it's bent, then the oil doesn't feed into it. So Gunatitanand Swami says that just as a lantern has a wick that has to be straight for it to draw the fuel of the oil or the ghee, in the same way our life has to be disciplined under Bhagwan and the Sant's Agna. How easy is this to understand? Couldn't satsang be this easy? Right, but it is. That's why we have the Swamini Vato. So Gunatitanand Swami, throughout the Swamini Vato, right, he's given us these examples that really explain in depth satsang concepts with ease. Right? Other examples, not too much with analogies and examples, but Gunatitanand Swami, he talks about these very simple practices which are beneficial to us even today. Right? Like Gunatitanand Swami says, I'll say in Gujarati first, ke satya, hit ane priya vato karni. Right? So Gunatitanand Swami says that we should always speak truthful, beneficial and pleasing words. Right? Then only people can relate to us. People can be attached to us and like our presence. Another thing Gunatitanand Swami says that, in that time, Bhagwan Swaminarayan used to give Santos the Agna that go and do like de-addiction campaigns because people used to have addictions, right? Of hoko or like daru, mas or whatever it was, gambling. So Bhagwan Swaminarayan used to send Paramahansos far and wide to do de-addiction drives. And Gunatitanand Swami, the first thing he would tell these people would be that from your addictions costs, from your addictions expenses, I can feed my Hari Bhakta for 1 year. That's the only math Gunatitanand Swami would give him. That if you quit your addiction, you would save so much money that you could feed yourself and your family for 1 year. Right? Because we see these people with addictions, especially in India, in the remote villages, in the tribal villages, they cry for both things. They cry because they have this addiction and they have these diseases and illnesses. And another thing they cry about at the same time is they don't have money. So this example of Gunatitanand Swami, even today, right, is still correct, it's still relevant. That if someone with an addiction stops his addiction, he can save enough to feed his family for a year. So like this, Gunatitanand Swami was very, very practical. And at the same time, not only was he giving these practical examples and exercises in satsang, but one thing that Yogiji Maharaj tells us, Gunatitanand Swami, if it wasn't for Gunatitanand Swami, today, barely anyone would realize Maharaj to be Sarvopari. If it wasn't for Gunatitanand Swami. Right? So Gunatitanand Swami's biggest seva today, seeing Maharaj, Bhagwan Swaminarayan and Sarvopari throughout the world, is because of Swamini Vato. Because obviously we won't go through all the examples that he's given, all the vatos that he said about Sarvopari Panu. I'll leave that to you to go and find them in the Swamini Vato, because that'll be something for your self sadhana, right? But Gunatitanand Swami has said it like bluntly. He has said it as it is, for whoever wants to read it. You want to find out why Maharaj is Sarvopari, how he is Sarvopari, it's all in the Swamini Vato. And Gunatitanand Swami says that the sadhus you see today, the mandirs you see today, and the murtis you see today is Sarvopari because Maharaj is Sarvopari. That's what Gunatitanand Swami says in the Swamini Vato. So just to conclude with some quotations of Pramukh Swami Maharaj and Mahant Swami Maharaj. Once, Pramukh Swami Maharaj in 1992 was in Saranpur for a Yuva Shibir. And Pramukh Swami Maharaj said that every youth, if we count this English Sabha as a youth Sabha, to a certain extent, right? Pramukh Swami Maharaj says that every youth should read the Swamini Vato. And then everyone's laughing. I think Brahma Maharaj says that every youth should read the Swamini Vato because it teaches practical spirituality. And lastly, Mahant Swami Maharaj's quotation in 2018 in the Ravi Sabha in Ahmedabad, Mahant Swami Maharaj said that you should always read the Swamini Vato for a few minutes every day. By reading it every day, it will transform you. Right? So the Swamini Vato, like I mentioned, it's very important for our satsang. It's as if we're doing personal samagam of Gunatitanand Swami. You feel his presence because the way it's written is exactly how he must have said it, right? And as I mentioned, that Sant Swami believed that reading the Swamini Vato is direct samagam of Gunatitanand Swami. So let's us all make this effort of reading the Swamini Vatos. It's only a few lines. If you look at all the Swamini Vatos, majority are like 2-3 lines. Some of them are 1 line, right? And then there are a few which are half a page, but majority are just 1 paragraph. So let's try and put it into our daily routine, daily habit to read the Swamini Vato for a few minutes, try to imbibe it, and then it will definitely transform our spiritual life. Shri Swaminarayan Bhagwanani Jai.
Thank you for joining us today and listening with such devotion. Bhagavan Swaminarayan has taught us the power of listening to Katha. It purifies our mind and brings us closer to God. So if this Katha helped you, give it a like, subscribe for more, and share it with someone you care about. Until next time, Jai Swaminarayan.